Former three-time world boxing champion Dingaan Thobela has passed on. He was 57 years old. Affectionately known as Rose of Soweto, Thobela was found dead in his Mayfair apartment by members of his family who accompanied by police. This was after they struggled to get in touch with him. Now, poor health also prevented Thobela from attending last Friday's SA Boxing Symposium. He held 3 world titles in 2 weight divisions in his heyday, the WBO and WBA lightweight titles, as well as the WBC super middleweight title that he won in 2000. In 1993, Thobela famously defeated American Tony Lopez in a rematch at Sun City to win the WBA lightweight title. After hanging up his gloves in 2004, he returned to the ring at the age of 40, 2 years later, to challenge Soon Bottas for the South African super middleweight title. He lost the fight and never boxed professionally again. When he hung up his gloves, the legendary Thobela retired with a record of 40 wins from 56 professional fights. Out of those wins, 26 were by TKO. He was beaten 14 times and had 2 draws. All right, now let's discuss this. We're now joined by boxing columnist Bongani Magasela. Thank you so much for your time. Well, the news of the boxing legend's passing has really left, many saddened and shocked if you look at just on the various media platforms. Let's first then get your reaction to the news of the passing of Dingaan Thobela.
Yeah, it was devastating. So to speak, but somehow, I don't know whether it will be correct for me to say I sensed something when I called him on Thursday after seeing his name in the list of the guests that were invited by Boxing South Africa to attend the symposium. And he responded in a voice or with a voice of someone pulling through the last breath, and he said, "Nkulu ngilende ngiphethe flu." So, that sound on its own kind of, gave me a fright, because Dingaan was a very strong individual. Sick or not sick, he would be out in the streets, especially on matters that had to do with boxing. He would make sure that he attends. So him not attending said something to me. I then called him on Friday to check as to how he was. I couldn't get hold of him several times. I couldn't. So I thought, no, you know what? Probably, it's the medication, drowsy and stuff like that. Let me give him time. While thinking along those lines, something said, no, send him WhatsApp messages. I sent him messages to say, hey, bro, get well. But please, give me a call when you are up and recovered. Nothing happened. Same thing the following day, Saturday, nothing. Sunday, nothing. I got worried, because ever since I've known Dingaan, and ever since we owned cell phones from your Motorola, Dingaan never switched his phone off. He would be in America, Germany, Russia, you name it. Dingaan's phone would be on 24/7. So I decided to call Eddie. Eddie is Dingaan's childhood friend. They grew up together, or we grew up together. Eddie was the manager of the Rose Funeral Services. Then I said, Eddie, there's an issue here. Dingaan is not on his phone, unavailable since Friday. Please, I don't have Junior's number. That is Dingaan's son. So Eddie promised to come back to me, do some, phone calls and stuff. He came back to me, I think it was to 7, to say, hey, bro, the man is no more. At that time, I took it lightly, because, we know that one day we're going to go, but there are certain people that you think, this one won't go now. So I took it lightly, and I was sharing the news with the guys in the newsroom. Man, few minutes later, it got to me. When my parents died and my brother, I cried, but I never cried. the way, or I did not cry the way I cried yesterday, because I felt a part of me was dead. Dingaan was not a friend to me. He was a brother. So yeah, you would understand how I felt.
No, absolutely. And Bongani, of course, we know that the family sadly found him, with the company of police after also, like you, struggled, to get a hold of him. I wonder then if you can just, give us another side of him, the side that we also knew of him. Of course, he was lauded for, his many successes, and especially just his sheer determination, as you also rightfully, put it, because we know that he also came back to the ring after he had retired. I mean, he retired with a record that's colorful, 40 wins from 56 professional fights. Out of those wins, 26 were by TKO. How will you and how should we remember him?
Before I talk about how should people remember him, there is the side of Dingaan that millions of people don't know, and he didn't want people to know, that he was a philanthropist of note, to be precise. That man, when the Rose Funeral Services was doing great, he buried people free of charge. He didn't want me to write even a line in my stories. He would say to me, Mkhulu, please don't do that. I am giving back to the communities who used to pay to watch my fights. I'm who I am because of all these people. Dingaan used to give people, what we see now politicians do, food parcels, loving, caring, selflessness. Dingaan, yeah, that's the side of, Dingaan, people don't know. And I don't think they never thought it existed. As a fighter, Dingaan was the type of a boxer, I can simply say, his worst enemy was himself. The boxers, except Tony Lopez, because he was robbed in their first fight in Sacramento, and Ozubek Nazarov. The many boxers that Dingaan lost to would have loved, enjoyed to hold the candle for him during his heydays. Dingaan lost fights towards the end of his career in wrong weight divisions, not because those guys were better than him. They overweight him. His weight ballooned. He did not overgrow lightweight to find himself fighting at welterweight, moving up to... No, it just ballooned because, Dingaan loved food. Dingaan loved good life, big time. And you can imagine someone moving up from lightweight to face a fully fledged super middleweight. You can imagine what happens. That person touches him, because all what is in him is a lot of water and fat, not solid beef. So, Dingaan was a Floyd Mayweather type of a boxer. Natural, flair, sharp eyesight, reflexes. You can put Dingaan under any kind of pressure. But if he has not landed that uppercut, we will tell you that it's not over until he lands that uppercut. Proof of that was when taken as a cannon fodder to face WBC champion, Englishman Glenn Hadley, who was promoted by South African promoter Ronnie Berman. No one gave Dingaan the slightest of chances to win that fight. Some were saying he won't even fight because he won't make the weight.
Bongani, thank you so much, though, for just giving us that glimpse of his life, of course, away also from the public eye. But thank you so much for your reflections on the show. Really do appreciate your time. And, of course, condolences to you and the fraternity, as well as his family. All right, that was boxing columnist Bongani Magasela there for us.